could sit there and you could try to take away all these things from people, and eventually they're going to feel it. You know, they may not feel it little by little, but
eventually, yeah.
Once it affects your family, they're gonna affect the next family with something that's gonna affect them. All right, maybe this didn't affect you, okay? Because we're taking out all guns. You can't have guns. Well, 3 houses in a row here don't have guns, so it doesn't affect them.
Right.
But now say they do another law that says, you know, okay, we can take over your property at any time. I mean, these people are property whores, and they do. Well, you're not taking my shit, you know. So now they're taking
the average person is
little by little,
be like,
little by little, they're taking from everyone. Pretty soon they don't want you to take from them anymore.
Well, you know? People only just take so much, but most folks, like you said, were just they're just too much wrapped up in their own little, you know, cocoons that they call life, and it is obviously they're
until it affects them. You know, that's how we are. You know, we were bred that way. Well, it's not affecting me, so I don't give a shit. You know. But once it does affect you, and you'll even say it up and down, oh, they won't do that to me. You know. How many people you hear that from?
That's right.
They won't come up here and do that to me. How many people you said, yeah, I got pulled over for a speeding ticket and the cop was an asshole? You know? And the person says, oh, if you would have been an asshole to me, this is what would have happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how it is, though. I mean, that's the truth. You know? Everybody thinks that it's not going to happen. When it could. You know? Until it does.
You know, it reminds me of a famous quote that was after World War II. You know, it's sort of like, you know, not paying attention. You know, first they came for the Jews, and I wasn't a Jew, and so it didn't affect me.
Right.
Then they came for the socialists, and I wasn't a socialist, so it didn't affect me. Then they came for the communists, and I wasn't a communist, so it didn't affect me. And then they came for me, and there was nobody to speak up. So that is really intrinsically what's going on.
Absolutely. Now look at life's history. I mean,
World history. Yeah.
Back to the beginning. I mean, it's always been a kingdom that has tried to rule with an iron fist, and it didn't work for the people. You know, the people are always going to outnumber. You know, and this country was born on the people. You know,
for the people and of the
we're
people.
supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, look at the way we vote for presidency and shit like that. We vote for who they tell us to vote for.
Correct. It's a controlled paradigm. They only give they give you a limited amount of choices.
I didn't see anybody vote for me
that
or
are both
vote
owned
for
by
you,
the same political
you know?
interest groups and you know, banking interests and you know,
exactly.
Corporate
you can
interests.
vote for the Democratic, the
Doesn't matter.
Republicans,
It's
the
the same
liberal,
thing.
or a private party. But all the parties include who they put into. You know.
You
All
were
right.
just
Well,
saying that earlier.
this is the guy who.
Yeah, presidents are selected, as Franklin Roosevelt said. They're selected, not elected. Obama, you know, you say about it. He is the same puppet as Bush. You're dealing with a puppet presidency, a puppet regime, like the CIA set up so many puppet regimes throughout history since its foundation in 1947. What they just basically did was got the president to be a puppet as well. You know, he's a puppet to the corporate interests, to GE. He's a puppet to other interests like the healthcare lobby and the insurance companies and all these big institutions where he speaks to people. I'm for the people. I'm for this, and then to deflect and to confuse the American public. On occasion, they'll do something that looks like, oh wow, that's good. Oh, that's a good thing to do. But inevitably, it ends up returning to this same policy of collectivizing everything into monopolizing corporations to waivers. I mean, look how unconstitutional it is. First of all, the Obamacare is unconstitutional, and then McDonald's and other major corporations, they get waivers, so they don't have to give their employees insurance, but the small restaurant or smaller business has to. It's GE having allowed to get permits to build new power plants, but no other company can. In fact, Obama went on record saying that if anyone tries to build a coal plant, due to the regulations and the fines and all of these other things, I'll bankrupt you. So this is the kind of country we're in.
Well, like you were saying, Howie,
Thank you.
with the reason now, how they said, oh well,
That's good.
our Navy SEALs went in and we got them. Like, what was the idea for that?
Well, Obama right now is a fucking hero.
Well, listen. Look, anybody that buys this whole thing just has to dig a little deeper.
The person who benefited the most from that was Obama.
That the United States will not torture.
Well, they definitely said his ratings
It's his crowning moment. He's assuming that he's going to ride through to the presidency because of it. But clearly, if anybody can just see how dramatic, to see how that supposedly he had this intelligence information from August, that they knew where he was. They've been watching him since August. Why would he wait until a point where there was that time where he's ready to run for president? He announces his candidacy before anybody announces opposition to him. And
Donald Trump.
a diversion. Again, I think it was a perfect example. I think just like the Bin Laden thing, it's a publicity stunt. He pulls out. He never intended to pull on. He got a lot of ratings. He made some money. He's a smart businessman. Obama's doing the same thing. Now, I would buy it if it weren't for the fact that he had Manfan disease or Monfan disease of the kidneys. It's a type of kidney failure. In fact, I was speaking with Chris Freedom Flowers on the radio on informedradio.com. Kidney failure, the kind that he has, requires 2 dialysis machines, which has also been reported. And he had this disease prior to 9/11. He was treated in July of 2001 in Dubai at the military hospital, the American military hospital. He had a meeting with the CIA at that time. This is on record. It really did happen. And then any medical person would say that he could maybe live 6 years, which would have brought it to 2007. I mean, it's miraculous that he would live to 2011. The CIA was caught on record making phony Bin Laden films over and over again, many times on record, as well, over the last decade. And this is this is the ninth.
That I believe.
But it came out on record. They were phony.
Why would
he's
Bin
dead.
Laden make a tape and just put himself out there? You know what I mean? He was what they claimed him to be. Now, why in the world would you put yourself on a tape? And send it to the U.S. for all places.
And this is a time
Even a
that he,
threat or whatever.
Yeah,
I
when
mean,
he was like he was in a cave.
Well, supposedly he was in a cave. See, look,
You're the
again,
most wanted
this
man
is
in the world.
This is the biggest fraud. I mean, the whole thing is a fraud from start. I mean, Bin Laden was a CIA asset on record. We trained him. We created Al Qaeda, and now we're giving Al Qaeda weapons in Libya to fight the resistance against the. Now, again, there's a great Bill Moyers piece, The Secret Government. It covers all the stuff. They were doing the same stuff with the government years and years ago, and this isn't anything new. They're just using the same playbook. They're going back to these old playbooks, just changing the construction of them. That's it. That's all that's happening. And they're fighting, these interests that are, they want to get Gaddafi. They demonize him. First they get Saddam Hussein, and we're going to make the world safe for terror. Meanwhile, Homeland Security is sticking their pants. They hand down everybody's pants and body scanning you. They're having these raids and these incredible things going on in our country that nobody's paying attention to.
Well, I thought about that too, with the whole thing where, your life would be patted down, and airports, bus stations,
Everywhere.
that shit.
It's going.
Now, I mean, if you really think about it, think about it. Are they trying to keep you from having weapons anywhere? You know what I mean?
It's worse than that. They're actually desensitizing you. It's a dehumanization. This is what the Nazis did. The Nazis first, before they killed you, they made you get naked. Why? Really, just dehumanization. And it was also easier to take care of. You didn't have to keep your clothes off and they just throw your body away, because they would take every stitch of clothing you had and just put it back into the war effort. They take your teeth after you're dead. If it had any gold in it. Really insidious. These are evil people that actually were integrated into our government after World War II, into both intelligence and the CIA, which was created in '47 with Prescott Bush, who was the grandfather of George Bush and the father of George Bush the First. And might as well call him George Bush the First. And it seems we've had dictators and emperors and kings since Kennedy. It just seems that way, and our liberties are at risk. For some reason, they've really sold the majority of the American people that security shall be priority to liberty, and sacrifice your liberty because we need to be safe, but you can't have a gun, or you shouldn't have a gun, or let's regulate this and that, and how many bullets should be in a clip. I have news for you. If you had a 30-round clip and a 6-round clip, it takes the same amount of time to change them. Doesn't matter if you got a 30-round clip or a 6-round clip. It's just 1 second, you got another clip. So how is that making it any safer? It's all just to disarm us. It's all to take away and get in our space. This is all psychological warfare. And then they tell you on television that this militia movement is the most dangerous threat to us. So they just keep changing their target. Communism fell. We imploded not we, the bankers imploded their economy. They destroyed their banking system like they're doing to us now, and the fall of communism. So now communism's not a threat anymore, so there's no more boogeyman. So did you notice how all of a sudden they find new boogeymen?
Yeah.
Communism for 30 years was the problem? Not anymore. Now it's terrorism and the war on drugs. They were already starting it. They were starting the war on drugs campaign with the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
And it was and the Rockefeller drug laws. This is all like, come on, putting somebody in jail for 25 years for a joint is ridiculous. And the other thing that is clear is that all of these laws and all of these regulations, in many cases, are a direct assault on the American people. The Patriot Act. I'm a terrorist because I support Ron Paul. I'm a terrorist because I own a gun, because I believe that the reason that you should own a gun, the real reason, is not to protect you against your neighbor, because your neighbor is your neighbor. It's to protect you against tyranny and government. Those aren't my words. Those are Thomas Jefferson's words. So, if you're telling me that I'm a threat because I want to protect myself from a corrupt government, that in the Declaration of Independence we are actually sworn to overturn, we actually have a duty in the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776, what everyone burns hot dogs for, says that if we have a corrupt government, it is our duty, honor, and obligation, quote unquote, to defend our nation against tyranny and change the government. And that's what we're doing here. We're changing the government, but we're going to do it peacefully, hopefully. But if they keep coming in our face, if they keep passing laws like in Virginia, in Indiana, where you can, a cop can knock on your door and say, "Let me in," and you say no, and I say, "Well, I'm coming in anyway," and they could just come in, no warrant, no probable cause.
I got news for you there, though. They've been doing that a long time.
Yes, but it is increasing.
It's illegal, but how many
planting evidence, planting drugs.
How many people fight it?
Well, you have to fight it. What about this couple, a returning vet, Iraq vet? It was 2 deployments, comes home, he's sleeping, he does the midnight shift, he's got to make a living in these terrible times we live in, right? He's doing the midnight shift, he's sleeping. His kids see some movement outside in the windows. Daddy, 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 help me. By the time he grabbed his AR-15, they broke down the door and they pumped him with 60 bullets. A man sleeping in his bed.
Well, what were they looking for?
drugs that weren't there.
So it's mistaken identity or what?
No. But there was no warrant. There was no probable cause. They just went in there saying that they had, I guess they thought drugs were there. I don't know. It's on the news. This is reported, but it's underreported. You know, we got this mainstream news that just lies to us completely over and over again. I don't even know where to begin discussing how useless the media is.
Well, no, it's useful to them.
It's useful to them, and it's useful to us because we can expose their ridiculousnesses. It's just unbelievable to believe.
Now it is because of the internet.
And that's why. And now Obama wants to shut down the internet. Clinton yesterday said there has to be regulations as to what you can say on the internet because they don't want. They think these conspiracy theorists are a threat to national security. If the conspiracy theorists are a threat to national security, America, then I think we got a really big problem. Because that would mean only one thing, that we're right. How could a threat be for a government that is corrupt, proven to lie to us, a Federal Reserve that resists audit, a Federal Reserve that is owned by foreign central banks, an implosion of our economy by design, destruction of our housing market, destruction of our currency by allowing illegal immigrants to cross over the border, and then you're a racist if you say, well, you're driving down the wages of America by bringing these people in,
which is the truth.
Which is absolutely the truth, and it's just the same thing. Like if you have a problem with the tyrannical state of Israel, who are terrorists against the Palestinian people, you are an anti-Semite, which is ridiculous. Tyranny exists. I mean, the other day was the anniversary of Israel, the 66th anniversary of Israel, I think, or 63rd, and they killed protesters at the border, 15, 20 people. They kill people every day. Their own officers are begging people to wake up to this. Their own officers, that there's tyranny going on. But this is the Rothschilds. They own 80% of Israel. And this is their agenda. A perfect example, the state of Israel, or any of these other banana republics, or any of these other oppressive states. That's the model. In fact, it goes on record, UNESCO's record, that they're actually looking for a world order that's similar to the China model. Chairman Mao is being praised, and actually General Motors, just today it was released, General Motors backed this film called The History of Communism in China.
Jay's got a lot of problems with General Motors.
Well, I'll tell you.
His cars are Chevys and they're not running.
I got a big problem with General Motors too because of this tyranny, because that's exactly what they did. They backed a film financially about the history of the communist China and the greatness and how great it is. It's a propaganda film that our tax dollars obviously paid for because we put tax money into GM while this film was being made. And again, it's just, and Chairman Mao is praised. This person again who killed 64 million conservatively. He is by far the most heinous. He makes Hitler like nothing. Hitler was only responsible for 10 million deaths. And again, why doesn't history recognize how bad Mao was? Why does it always go to Hitler? But yet, there's great. And David Rockefeller in '73 said, China, the advancements in China are the most incredible things in the world. This man who's the evil person moving towards world government. I mean, it's just ruthless. We're going to be overtaken by a communist fascist model that will be slowly put into place. And if people don't wake up, it'll be too late. Because you're not going to be able to get those storable foods. You're not going to be able to get those coins, the gold coins or the silver coins. You're not going to prepare for this. You're not going to have weapons. You're not going to have ammunition. You're going to be total subject, which is what this is about. We are no longer citizens. We are subjects.